thought I knew fear. I thought I'd felt it when my mother vanished, when the world turned cold and empty. But that night in the archives, I learned what fear really is. Her face, my mother's face, staring up at me from a book that shouldn't exist. Her eyes screaming for help while the ink blood red. It's still here. With me. In me. And it's not done. But before you learn my dark secret, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and hit that like button, and get ready to listen to the nightmare. My name is Clara. I'm nobody special, just a librarian, or I was, before everything changed. I worked at the Harrogate Library, a decaying monument from the 1800s that squats on the edge of town like a forgotten gravestone. Its walls are stained with age, its windows warped, and the air inside carries a weight, like the building's holding its breath. I loved it, though. The quiet, the order, the way each book felt like a piece of history I could hold. It was my sanctuary. Until that night. God, I can still smell it, the damp, the rot, the way the air turned sour, like something was waking up. It was Thursday, well past midnight. I'd stayed late to tackle a backlog of unsorted records in the basement archives. No one else wanted the job, and I didn't blame them. The archives are long, buried beneath the library. There are a labyrinth of stone corridors, sagging shelves, and flickering bulbs that hung like they're in pain. The air down there is thick, wet, heavy with mildew and something else, something that clings to your skin. There's a constant drip of water, leaking from some unseen crack, echoing through the tunnels like a pulse. I'd been down there before, but always with someone else, always in daylight. Never like this. I wasn't supposed to be there alone. The head librarian, Mrs. Grayson, had strict rules about the archives, no solo shifts, no staying past 10. But I begged for the overtime. I needed the money, sure, but it was more than that. My mother. She was a historian, obsessed with lost stories, hidden truths. She'd spent years chasing whispers of forgotten texts, secret societies, things no one else believed in. When I was 16, she disappeared. No note, no body, no answers. The police called it a runaway case, but I knew better. She'd been hunting something dangerous, something she couldn't outrun. And Harrogate Library, it was one of her favorite haunts. If there was a clue to what happened to her, I'd find it here. I had to. The archives were colder than I remembered, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and stays there. I wore gloves to handle the records, partly for protection, partly because touching the books barehanded felt invasive, like I was disturbing something. The crate I was sorting was a mess. Ledgers from the 1700s, journals with warped covers, books so brittle their pages crumbled at a touch. The smell was overwhelming, musty, like old earth, but with an edge, something acrid, almost rancid, that made my throat tighten. I tried to focus on the work, sort, stack, label, but that dripping kept pulling me out of it. Drip, drip, drip. It was louder than it should have been, sharper, like it was counting down to something. I was alone, but the room didn't feel empty. The shelves loomed over me, their shadows shifting under the flickering bulb, and every few minutes, I'd catch myself glancing over my shoulder, expecting. I don't know. A figure. A face. Something. Get it together, Claire, I muttered, my voice sounding too small in the vastness of the archives. But the words didn't help. The air was heavier now, pressing against my chest, and the dripping was faster, insistent, like it was trying to speak. I reached into the crate and pulled out a book unlike the others. It was heavy, its cover black and slick, like polished obsidian, with no title or markings, just faint, raised patterns that looked like veins under skin. It was cold, unnaturally so, and when I touched it, my fingers tingled like I'd brushed against something electric. I set it down, uneasy, and opened it. The pages were thick, stuck together, resisting my gloved hands. When I finally pried them apart, I saw a name, scrawled in jagged, uneven handwriting. Eleanor Vance. My mother's name. I froze. My heart slumped against my ribs, so loud I thought it would burst. My mother's name in a book buried in an archive no one's touched in decades. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be. I stared at the page, my breath hitching, and for a moment, I swore I heard her voice, soft, distant, calling my name. Clara. I told myself it was my mind playing tricks, that I was tired, stressed, imagining things. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking, and the book felt heavier now, like it was pulling me in. I turned the page, my gloves smudging the ink. The text was unreadable, dense, handwritten scrawl in a language I didn't recognize, mixed with symbols that hurt to look at. Like they were twisting in my vision. But there were drawings too. Eyes, wide and unblinking, staring out from the paper. Mouths stretched in silent screams. And at the bottom of one page, a single sentence in English, written in red ink that looked fresh. The words take what they need. I didn't know what it meant, but it made my stomach churn, like I'd swallowed something sour. I should have stopped. I should have closed the book, left it there, gone home. But I couldn't. Her name, it was the first real trace of her I'd found in 10 years. I kept turning pages, faster, desperate for answers. The air grew colder, sharper, and the dripping stopped. The silence was worse, thick and suffocating, like the room was holding its breath. Then I heard it. A rustle. Soft, deliberate, like pages turning on their own. It came from the shelves behind me. I spun around, my heart in my throat. The bulb flickered, throwing jagged shadows across the stone walls. Nothing. Just rows of books, their spines warped and faded, stretching into the dark. But I felt it. Eyes on me, heavy, like they were peeling me apart. I clutched the black tome to my chest, my breath ragged. Hello? I called, my voice barely a squeak, swallowed by the silence. No answer. But then, from the far end of the corridor, the book slid off a shelf. Not fell, slid. Slow, deliberate, like an invisible hand had pushed it. It hit the floor with a crack that echoed, and I flinched, my pulse roaring in my ears. I backed away, my sneakers scuffing against the damp stone. The bulb flickered again, faster now, like it was about to die. The shadows seemed to move, twisting at the edges of my vision, and the air was so cold it burned my lungs. I told myself to run, to get out, but my legs felt heavy, like the book was anchoring me to the spot. I glanced down at it, and the pages fluttered, unprompted, stopping on a new drawing. A hand, still a little uncloak, reaching out from the paper, its fingers curling toward me. I gasped, nearly dropped it, but my hands wouldn't let go. It was like the book was holding me. The whispers started then. Low, guttural, not quite words, slithering through the air. They came from everywhere, the shelves, the walls, the floor, like the archives themselves were speaking.
Clara.
My name hissed in a voice that wasn't human. I covered my ears, but it didn't help. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, a chorus of voices clawing at my mind. The shelves rattled, books trembling, some falling, their pages flapping like wings. And then I felt a cold breath in the back of my neck, slow and deliberate, like someone was standing right behind me. I spun around. No one was there. The corridor stretched into darkness, the bulb buzzing louder, flickering like a dying star. The dripping started again, but it wasn't water anymore. It was thicker, slower, like syrup hitting the floor. I looked down and saw it red, pulling at my feet, seeping from the book in my hands. I screamed, tried to drop it, but my fingers wouldn't unclench. The pages turned on their own, faster, showing more drawings, faces now, dozens of them, their eyes wide and pleading, their mouths open in silent agony. And then, at the center of one page, her face. My mother's. It was her, unmistakable. Her dark hair, her sharp cheekbones, her eyes, God, her eyes, so real, so terrified, staring up at me like she could see me. Her mouth moved, forming words I couldn't hear, and the ink began to bleed, red and thick, spilling over the page, dripping onto my gloves. I screamed again, threw the book down, but it wouldn't close. The pages kept turning, faster, the faces multiplying, their eyes following me, their mouths stretching wider. The whispers were deafening now, screaming my name, and the room was shaking, or maybe it was. I stumbled back, tripping over a fallen book, my hands scrabbling against the stone floor. The bulb went out, plunging the archives into darkness, and for a moment there was nothing but my ragged breathing and the pounding of my heart. Then I felt it. A hand, cold, bony, real, brushing my wrist, its fingers lingering, testing. I screamed, yanked my arm back, and scrambled to my feet, my flashlight shaking in my hand. The beam caught something, a shape, tall and thin, standing at the edge of the corridor. It had no face, just a void where a face should have been, but I felt its gaze, heavy and hungry, like it was drinking me in. I ran. I don't know how I found the stairs, but I did, tripping, sobbing, the book somehow still in my hands. The whispers chased me, echoing in the stairwell, and the dripping followed, faster, like laughter. I burst into the main library, slammed the archive door behind me, and locked it with trembling hands. The silence was deafening, but I could still feel it, whatever it was watching me through the walls, waiting. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. I hid in the library's break room, curled up under a blanket, the black tome locked in a storage closet behind stacks of old records. I told myself it was over, that I'd imagined it, that I was safe. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her eyes begging me to help her. And the whispers, they didn't stop. They were softer now, distant, but they were there, buried in the back of my mind, reciting words I couldn't understand. I didn't sleep. I sat there, staring at the closet door, waiting for it to open, for that thing to come for me. The library was quiet, but it wasn't empty. I heard it, soft, deliberate footsteps, pacing the halls above. And once, just once, the sound of pages turning, slow and rhythmic, like someone was reading in the dark. That was just the beginning. What came next? I'm not sure I can tell you. Not yet. But it's not over. It's never over. I thought locking that book away would end it. I thought if I hid it, if I ran, I'd be safe. I was wrong. It knows me. It knows my name, my thoughts, my dreams. And my mother. Her face is still there, trapped in those pages, screaming silently while something alive breathes inside that book. It wants me to open it again. And I'm terrified I will. Days had passed since that night in the archives. I quit my job at Harrogate Library. I couldn't go back, not after what I'd seen, what I'd felt. The memory of my mother's face in that book, her eyes pleading, the ink bleeding red, it haunted me, clawing at my mind every time I tried to sleep. I moved to a small apartment across town, as far from the library as I could get without leaving the city. I told myself it was over, that I'd left it behind. But deep down, I knew better. That book wasn't just a book. It was alive. And it wasn't done with me. The first sign came on the third night in my new place. I was lying in bed, the room dark except for the faint glow of streetlight seeping through the blinds. I couldn't sleep, hadn't slept properly since the archives. The air felt heavy, like it had in the basement, and there was this faint smell, barely noticeable at first. Mildew mixed with something sour, rancid, like rotting meat. I sat up, my heart pounding, and scanned the room. Nothing. Just my boxes, still half unpacked, and the cheap furniture that came with the lease. But the smell grew stronger, thicker, until it coated my throat, making me gag. I got out of bed, my bare feet cold against the floor. The apartment was silent, but it was the kind of silence that feels wrong, like it's hiding something. I checked the windows, locked. The door bolted, but the smell wouldn't go away, and now I could hear it. The sound, so faint I thought I was imagining it. A soft, rhythmic rustle, like pages turning. It was coming from the closet. I froze, my breath catching in my chest. I hadn't brought any books with me. I'd left everything at the library, especially that book, locked in the storage closet where no one would find it. But the sound was unmistakable, deliberate, like someone or something was reading in the dark. I grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen drawer, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. The rustle stopped, replaced by a low hum, almost like a voice, too soft to make out. I stood in front of the closet door, my pulse roaring, and told myself to walk away, to call someone, to run. But I couldn't. I had to know. I opened the door. The closet was empty except for a few clothes and a box of old clothes. But the smell was overwhelming now, choking, and at the back of the closet, tucked behind the box, was the book. The black tome, its cover slick and veined, exactly as I'd left it in the library. I didn't bring it here. I didn't. I'd locked it away, buried it under stacks of records. But there it was, sitting on the floor, its pages slightly open, like it had been waiting for me. I slammed the closet door shut, my heart hammering so hard I thought I'd pass out. No, this isn't real, I whispered, backing away. You're not here. You can't be. But the rustle started again, louder, faster, and now I heard it, her voice. My mother's voice, soft and clear, reciting words I couldn't understand, like a prayer or a curse. It was coming from the closet, from the book, and it was calling my name. Claire, come back. I ran to the kitchen, grabbed my phone, and called Mrs. Grayson. It was 3 a.m, but I didn't care. She answered, groggy and annoyed, but when I told her about the book, her voice changed. Claire, listen to me. Don't touch it. Don't open it. I'm coming over. She hung up before I could ask why she sounded so scared, why she didn't question how the book had followed me. I sat on the couch, clutching a knife from the kitchen, staring at the closet door, waiting for her. The rustle never stopped, and neither did the voice. It grew louder, more insistent, and now it wasn't just my mother's. Claire said dozens of voices whispering my name, begging me to open the book. Mrs. Grayson arrived an hour later, her face pale, her hands trembling as she carried a small metal box. She didn't ask questions, didn't even look surprised when I pointed to the closet. You knew, I said. You knew about it. She didn't answer, just opened the closet, grabbed the book with gloved hands, and shoved it into the box, locking it with a padlock. This needs to be destroyed, she muttered, her voice barely audible. It's not safe. It never was. She told me to pack a bag and come with her. I didn't argue. We drove to her house, a small cottage on the outskirts of town, and she led me to her basement. It was nothing like the library's archives, no damp stone, no flickering bulbs. It was clean, modern, with locked cabinets lining the walls. She set the box on a table and started pulling out books, old, leather-bound texts, some with symbols like the ones in the black tome. What is it? I asked. What's in that book? She looked at me, her eyes hollow, and said, It's not a book, Clara. It's a prison. She explained, her voice low and unsteady. The tome was ancient, older than the library, older than the town. It was created by something, she wouldn't say what, to trap souls, to feed on their fear, their pain. The names in the book, the faces, they were people who'd been taken, their essence bound to the pages. My mother's name, her face, they meant she was one of them. She's still alive. I asked, my voice cracking. Mrs. Grayson shook her head. Not the way you think. She's part of it now. And it wants you, too. I didn't want to believe her, but the memories of that night, the whispers, the cold hand, the bleeding ink, made it impossible to deny. She said the library had been built to guard the book, to keep it hidden, but it had a way of finding people, of luring them in. My mother had been one of its victims, drawn to it by her obsession with secrets. And now it had chosen me. We burned the book. Or we tried to. Mrs. Grayson doused it in oil, lit a match, and threw it into a metal drum in her backyard. The flames roared. The book didn't burn. It sat there, untouched, the fire curling around it like it was alive. And it laughed. A low, guttural sound, not human, coming from the pages. Mrs. Grayson screamed, dropped the drum, and the book fell out, its cover pulsing, the veins glowing red. I backed away, my legs shaking, and saw something in the flames, a face, not my mother's, but something else, with too many eyes and a mouth that stretched too wide. It looked at me, and I felt it inside my head, whispering, "You can't leave me." We buried it instead, in a steel box, under a slab of concrete in Mrs. Grayson's garden. She said prayers, old ones, in a language I didn't know, and told me to forget it, to never speak of it. I went home, but the smell was still there, the rustle, the voices. They were quieter now, but they never stopped. And every night, in my dreams, I saw my mother, standing in a void, her face half-inked, her voice reciting pages that burned my skin when I tried to touch her. She'd reach for me, her fingers cold and sharp, and whisper, "Keep reading, Claire. Finish the story. I don't know how much longer I can fight." The book is gone, buried, but it's not gone. It's in me. I hear it when I'm alone, feel it watching me from the shadows. Last night, I woke up with ink on my hands, red and sticky, and words written on my mirror in my mother's handwriting. "Open me." And just now, as I'm telling you this, I heard it again. The rustle. The pages. It's here. Somewhere in this room. It's under the bed. The book. It's open. Her face, her eyes, they're moving. They're looking at me. Claire, read. If you've ever felt something wrong, something that shouldn't be, in a book, a dream, a shadow, tell me in the comments. And if you want more nightmares like this, subscribe. I don't know how much longer I can keep telling these stories, but I have to. It won't let me stop. Claire, come back.